The views and opinions expressed in this podcast do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of Acuma, its board of directors, its management staff, or its members. The podcast discussion presented is conversational in nature and for general information only.
Hello and welcome to Acuma's On Point podcast, a series focused on sharing the stories of people who are making a positive impact in the credit union mortgage industry. I'm your host, Peter Benjamin. Today's episode is being brought to you by Member First Mortgage. MFM is a credit union-owned mortgage CUSO that offers a variety of unique mortgage partnership options, customizable servicing and subservicing, a complete suite of loan products, and so much more. MFM delivers innovative solutions with their service, technology, and member-focused approach to mortgage lending. Joining me today from MFM, my co-host, Wallace Jones, Vice President of Training. Wallace, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Peter. How are you?
Living the dream. Thank you for asking. Hey, Wallace, thank you for being here. And again, thank you to Member First Mortgage for sponsoring today's podcast. But do me a favor, let's take a brief moment and share all the latest and greatest happenings over at Member First Mortgage.
Sure. Thanks, Peter. So as you said, we are a wholly owned mortgage CUSO, and we, thanks to just a really, really large number of credit unions we've signed up here over the last 6 months or so. We're well over 300 credit unions nationally. Member First started actually on the infamous day of September 11th, 2001. So you can probably imagine, I wasn't there, but you could probably imagine what it was like to work that day as your first day on a new job, but persevered, came through. And now we really, as you said, provide a wide variety of mortgage services to credit unions across the country. Just quickly, I mean, one of the things I love about Member First, we all know it's been a challenging mortgage market, a challenging housing market over the last, several years, but especially the last 6 to 12 months. With rates spiking up and all that kind of stuff. But one of the things I love about our executive management team is they don't automatically pull back when something like that happens. We look for opportunities. And there's been a lot of those opportunities with some of our competitors going out of business, with credit unions shifting their focus on how they offer home loans to their members. And we're just fully focused on what we can do to help those credit unions and provide that service they're famous for to their members.
I appreciate you saying that, because I've been president of Acuma at this point in time, a year and 5 months. Actually, no, sorry. I'm not even, I am pushing almost well over a year and a half at this point. Time flies, I guess, when you're having fun. I will say this, every event that I go to, whether it's Acuma or another credit union groups, I always run into people from MFM, and you guys are some of the warmest, kindest, most outgoing people I come across, and the people that you work with love you. And so I think that's a testament to everyone over at Member First Mortgage, but it's also, the culture of the leadership, but also the fact that, you guys really are out there doing good work, and, the word is spreading. So thank you very much for that.
Oh, you're welcome.
So, Wallace, we have a great episode ahead. I'm really excited to talk to our special guests. But before we get too far, down that road of talking to our guests, I need to bring on Cameron to kind of go over some housekeeping items. Cameron, how's it going? Tell us all the latest and greatest things happening over at Acuma, please.
I'm doing great, Peter. Thanks for asking.
Awesome.
We have a ton going on over at Acuma.
To say the least.
Yeah.
Yep.
The first half of the year was jam-packed, tons of in-person events, lots of virtual events too, webinars, and just in this podcast series, just like this episode.
It's been nonstop.
Yeah, it's definitely been nonstop, but really good. Good attendance at our events. And now we're just a few weeks out from our annual conference. So we're super excited. It's October 1 to 4, National Harbor, Maryland, right outside of DC. And lots of great speakers, a ton of sessions, and really something for everybody. So, and some fun surprises too. So if you're
some
not
fun
registered,
surprises, some tricks up our sleeves. I think everyone will really enjoy them
for sure. And if you're not registered, go ahead and go to our website and register. You still have time, and you can see some of those fun surprises for yourself in person.
That's right. And I keep saying it. I'm really excited for this conference. It's in my hometown, your hometown.
Yeah.
It's nice traveling to that's right. It's nice traveling to an event where we don't have to hop on a plane, that we can just drive there.
It is. And it's a beautiful location.
Oh my God. Yes. Oh, anyways, it is. We can keep talking about that. But Cameron, thank you very much. Appreciate all your hard work. Don't go too far. Really excited for you to contribute to today's conversation. And to that point, today's guest is Jennifer Poniatowski. She is the Vice President of Mortgage Sales at Credit Union One. Jen, welcome. And how are you doing today?
Hi, Peter. I am well. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. Hey, I'm a fan. I love what you're doing over at Credit Union One. And I think that not only that, I think that you are quite passionate about many things. You are a regular at the Acme events, and I see how passionate you are about, the credit union movement, helping your members, your sales team. I see all of that. I also love the fact that you are very much passionate about, bringing a younger generation of credit union professionals through the ranks and make them leaders of tomorrow. So we can talk about that another time. But the one thing I mentioned that I see how passionate you are and the things that you do to kind of help us. When I say us, the credit union mortgage industry. So I'm going to take a step back. Sorry. I've said it time and time again. We have tough times ahead, and it's not just because of the market. The tough times are really represented in the fact that we are constantly trying to debunk the myth that credit unions can't get the job done. Right. That's the thing that we hear quite often from realtors, sometimes our borrowing members. It's the rumors out there on the street, the nasty rumors out there on the street that credit unions just can't do mortgages or don't do mortgages at all. Right. So in order for us to be able to tackle that and really come out of this ahead and really move that needle forward of making the next 5 to 6 years the years of the credit union, starting off with really figuring out how do we provide members with the best overall experience really has to be job number one, right? Or in my mind, I think in order for us to debunk that myth of, credit unions just can't get the job done, I really think that putting the tools or providing our team with the tools to be successful is the first thing that we have to do to kind of beat that. And so I think that's why we wanted to really talk about how to provide members with the best overall experience, because the last thing we want is a member to come to us and say, my realtor said, if I go with you, you're not going to close a loan, right? So Jen, let's talk about that. Let's talk about providing our members with the best overall experience, because we are people helping people. We are member focused and service driven. We can keep going through every single credit union mantra that's out there. We've all drank the Kool-Aid at some point in time. And so we know those words like the back of our hand. So tell me, give me some insight into your viewpoint of providing members with the best overall experience.
Yeah, so I think that you bring up a great point, Peter. I think for years, I've been in the credit union space since 2008. Great year to start my mortgage business. But I think that through my entire career, I've heard the same things of how do we crack this code? How do we get more market share in this space? We know that we're great. So we're constantly battling, the lowest interest rates, the products, a little, rolling out technology and thinking that those are going to be the key to success. But when we're looking at the environment that we're in today, and now we're oversaturated with lenders, I hope that we've all learned somebody's always going to have a better product. Somebody's always going to have a better rate. But what is going to keep us growing organically as a credit union? What is going to keep our members coming back to us? What are we doing to sustain our existing membership? And I don't have the exact answer to it, but I think it's a little simpler than what we've been trying to detect all these years. And a big initiative at Credit Union One is just really, really refining what our members' experience looks like. So we, as mortgage lenders, as a company altogether, we have an upper hand advantage compared to any IMB out there. We have a bucket of people. And in my sense, we have several 100,000 members that we can learn so much about. And if we take the time to really understand our members, what they want, what we're needing, we're going to deepen our relationship with them. We're going to create a lifelong member, and while sustaining that relationship, increase growth within the credit union, increase products per member, do the mortgage, do the HELOC, get that checking account, get these sticky products together. So we're continuing growing in whatever market we end up in the next 2 years, because at this point, I don't know what that is going to look like.
So, all right, so let's break that down a bit more. Let's peel back the layers. Okay, so first off, you mentioned, increased market share, right? And so increasing market shares is something that is always been front and center for me, even back when I was an executive in the credit, we'll say credit union side. Historically, for those who don't know, when you think about, the entire mortgage lending industry, not just credit unions, but including banks and non-banks, historically, credit unions are really kind of averaging about that 5% mark, right? Just on average. Some years it's only about 3%. I think the high water mark was like 7.2%. So when you compare that to banks, and banks tend to be about 20 and the rest are non-bank lenders, we're really missing the boat, right? And you kind of hinted at it, and I want to touch on it a bit. You hinted at it, but I'm just going to say, we are up against it's two sides that prevent us from increasing our market share. We're not getting out of our own way, right? But then we almost believe what people will say about us, right? And that's the tough part, right? And so let's focus on getting out of our own way. I know you're doing you're implementing things, or you just implemented some things at Credit Union One that really would be a game changer for you in the markets you serve. So just real quick, before you answer that question, before you dive into things that you're doing over there, specifics and the results you've already seen, how many markets are you in, just out of curiosity?
We are rapidly growing. So 3 months ago, we were in 5 states. We've just expanded to 10. So we've doubled in our market space very quickly.
So that's just not one of those things where you have a federal charter, so therefore you can lend in every state. You guys actually have boots on the ground in these states, correct?
We have that. And then we've analyzed our member data to see where our members are. Where do we need to serve them? I think it's no secret that post-pandemic individuals have relocated because they have the ability to work remotely. So we did a deep dive into our data to see where our members going to need to be serviced in.
Okay. All right. So let's break down, what are you doing? What specifically are you doing at Credit Union One to kind of make that, or we'll say start establishing that member experience that keeps them coming back?
So I think it honestly, it starts at the credit union. So I think that we have done a very good job at making sure that as a company, we have established a really, really strong culture so that our team members want to be here. They feel inspired to be here. The next piece of that is to ensure that they have the right tools, that they're supported. So over the last several years, there's the tech stacks that, we've put together. There's the optimization that we've looked together, but we've come through so many different markets where we're, dialing for dial at 1 minute, but then we're order takers at the next because there's so much business coming in. And now we're back chasing around the purchase market because we were drowning in refi business. We kind of had to take a step back and go back to almost communication training and just simplicity and looking at what do I personally like an experience to look like. I mean, Peter Acmio puts on amazing networking events. If you all didn't give me a great experience, I wouldn't keep coming back. I wouldn't look forward to them. I wouldn't attend them. So I think, that's just an example of what you need to do in your own space. So communication training. I mean, it comes as the first simple rule that we have is answer the damn phone. We have shirts that say that on our backs that say just answer the damn phone. When a realtor says that all a realtor wants is to be answered at any given time. All a member wants is to be answered at any given time. And, LOs can look at their phone and say, there's nothing to say. So we're just going to wait until we have to give them news. No, just answer your phone. And that goes such a long way. So as simple as that sounds, it's kind of impactful.
No, I like that you said that. And because it brought up some fond memories of leading a team of loan officers and a mortgage team. And I actually, Cameron was part of my team when I had this. And there's like these stupid signs I kind of taped up all around our space or our little corner of the building that we were in. And it was just like Peterisms, right? And one of the Peterisms, some of them are cheesy, like remember the Alamo, stuff like that. Basically, when I meant by remember the Alamo is like, we don't learn from our mistakes, we're doing to repeat them. But one of them was everyone deserves a phone call, no matter what. And that right there is such a lost art. I love the way you framed it up. Just answer the damn phone.
Yeah.
I mean, stop hiding behind emails, right? I mean, I think if it's as simple as that, heck, we should be doing a lot more business, right?
I agree. So that's part of it.
Wallace, I see you leaning in. You got something to say?
Well, yeah, I just wanted to ask Jen, because she kind of brought that up about the shifting market from refi to purchase. And historically, that's been what a lot of credit unions have struggled with. They're great at, refis, order taking care of their members, all of that, but not so much at going out and getting business. What are you guys doing, Jen, to shift from that market and stay relevant?
So that's a great question. We learned the hard way. I think, like a lot of folks did. We were so focused on the refis that when it came down to purchase business, we had lost contact with a lot of our partners. So the best thing that we could do was start over. And in certain markets, it made more sense for us to be very boots on the ground. So I would even partner with my LOs. We partnered with my marketing team, put decks together and went to realtors' offices, knocked on their doors, gave a presentation as to why they would do business with us, had them throw us some deals and make it happen. And really, really work hard on that, attending open houses, attending broker opens. I would personally, I'm a fan of in leadership, lead by example. I'd be out for a walk, and if I saw an open house, I'd look at my husband and say, "Hey, we have to jump in." He was like, "Hey, reminder, you're in yoga pants. Too bad." They'll understand.
Always carrying business cards. Always.
So, and I will say this. So I went to the Taylor Swift concert last Saturday, and got dressed. I was the Lover era, got all dressed up, and I was packing my clear stadium bag. And I put a stack of business cards in my bag. And my girlfriend that was attending the concert with me looked at me and she was like, I'm sorry. Are you planning on on financing a home for Taylor Swift? And I said, no, but we have a VIP access ticket, and maybe Flavor Flav, who's going to be there, wants a house for me because he's been struggling a little bit. But that's just the breed that I came from. And it's just reinstilling that. I think another thing, I say, like, don't super product push, but understand what our members need and are wanting. And as we've gotten into these new markets, how can we support them? Wallace, I'll look at you. We're in the middle of going through becoming partners with your team because you have some great products that we don't have. And so understanding that Credit Union One, we aren't able to kind of in-house build all of these products to support all of our members in all of these different markets, but there's partners out there that can help us leverage doing so. So we're super excited about your One Close construction program. That's honestly like the reason that we're signing up with you all. So, have a focus on how we can support and the way that we're doing it. And it's gone well. And I'm very much, like I said, integral in my team's relationships as well. I try to make sure that the realtors know me just as much as my team. I think that's huge.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, you got to have that product mix too, right? So you don't want to have a realtor who comes to you and brings a client and you say, oh, well, we can't offer that product. So yeah, leveraging partners is an awesome way to do that.
Yeah.
Sorry. So Jen, you broke down, we'll say, sales fundamentals.
Yes.
The best way to provide members with the best overall experience is that just standard fundamentals, answer the damn call, be available to them, but also, make a point to grow your business, right? So you touched on that. We touched on products. We talked about having the good partners, right? But one of the things that we haven't really mentioned or talked about is technology, right? Technology at this point in time. I mean, I'm not old enough to say, I don't want to date myself, so I'm not going to say that. But I mean, I remember when I got into the mortgage business, 2001. The company I worked for was still very much on a DOS-based LOS. In many ways, it was antiquated and it was tough to use or tough to learn, but because it was DOS, all you had to do was just remember the pattern of the codes that you had to put in, and you could process a loan completely within like 20 minutes. And it was amazing. But anyways, I digress. Technology today is different than what technology was yesterday, right? I'm sure technology today is different than what it was in 2008 when you got into the business. So I'm a firm believer, and I've said it before. I've been invited to speak at different credit unions during their sales meetings and to their executive teams. I've flown down to different Curans to talk about this in front of different Curans. Technology is, in my mind, probably the last piece of the puzzle in order for us to kind of get to that point where we are really competing, really providing experience, because I view technology as an investment. And so what have you guys done, or what can we do as an industry to kind of leverage technology for that best overall experience?
Technology is very important. I've been working relentlessly over the last few years to really, really perfect our tech stack. I think we've got a great one. However, what I've learned is that, again, in order to support our whole membership, look at our membership, we have various different generations, and we're trying to pull in new generations to do business with us. You have to have the ability to answer to everyone the way that they want to be serviced. So technology cannot be your answer. You can't, as we're bringing in LOs, the expectation can't be that they're going to hide behind a bot and that's going to do all the work for them, because people still want to speak to people. So it's really making sure that you're leveraging the best of both worlds. Earlier, I want to say Q1 of this year, we launched Total Expert, which has been a great experience so far working with them. They offer tools to do just that. We actually have them integrated with Salesforce. So Salesforce is our CRM for our entire organization. So we're actually just using the marketing piece of Total Expert and using the CRM with Salesforce, which has been great that those two companies could play nice enough to allow us to leverage both. But it's more than just the CRM piece and the marketing piece and the drip campaign piece is great, but they have the ability to dive into our members' data and go kind of beyond that to, pull data, understand, this person's not going to need an auto loan. Maybe this person would benefit from a high yield savings account. So again, just deepen our relationship with our members. And then knowing which individual is going to do well with this email campaign and which one's going to require a phone call. And it's so far it's a newer relationship, but we're finding it to be very successful so far. But I think that the main overall takeaway that I've seen from anyone that's trying to put together a tech stack is omni-channel. There is no one size fits all. You have to be able to deliver to every single kind of demographic. And generationally, and there's so many that we work with right now. And in the credit union space specifically, we have to make sure that we're able to service everyone. And then in different markets too. My Vegas folks interact very different than my Atlanta folks. My Chicago folks, they don't ever want to speak to anybody. So it's all over the place.
Interesting. I'm happy you mentioned that. Technology is meant to make our jobs easier. It's not meant to replace us, especially because even if you just look at every say consumer survey out there, especially when it's focused on mortgage, no one wants a completely automated process, right? They still want that touch point with that human being. And it's not just a one touch point, it's multiple. They want to be updated throughout the process. And many people, regardless of how tech savvy they are, just want that phone call and say, hey, your loan just went to underwriting. Hey, clear to close, right? I mean, there's enough data out there that says that, but what technology is going to do is, okay, well, it's going to move your loan faster from point A to point B, and point B to point C, and then point C to point D. And if point D is clear to close, if you can leverage technology to move it as fast from point A to point D as quickly as possible, that's what you should be doing, not replacing the things that you have to do on a daily basis, right?
I agree. And importantly, supporting our sales folks as well. So I think that while it's giving us, this shiny object for our members to play with, to have this beautiful, point of sale to take their application on and to deliver documentation. And we have these fun videos that they can watch. Those are all well and fine, but it also acts as support to our sales team. So they know what they should be doing on a daily basis, and then gives leadership the accurate data as to what their behaviors are throughout the day. Again, we're kind of back to basics. So I'm pulling reports and saying who's calling this person and who's emailing this person. And I'm going to this person and say, hey, you missed 30% of your calls today. Answer the damn phone. Just an insight on the whole picture.
Sure. So, hey, we're doing really good on time. I want to bring up a second topic, if that's okay, before we transition.
Yeah.
But before we go to that second topic, and it's not a surprise, I've kind of hinted at it in my opening. But if you were talking to a credit union that was just trying to, again, Acumen has members of all different sizes. We have the biggest of the big down to credit unions that are just trying to figure this out, right? So if you had the opportunity to just address the credit unions that are just trying to figure this out and really try to grow their business and really trying to understand or figure out how they can provide members with the best overall experience, do me a favor, just speak to them and say, hey, this is what you need to do.
The very first exercise that we have at Credit Union One that we do with our sales teams, with our service teams, is we have everyone describe what a perfect experience of theirs looks like. What does this look like? If you are going to choose an airline, what is your expectation? If you're going to choose a hotel, what is your expectation? I give a story of, I went to this Taylor Swift concert, and then I jumped on an airplane the next day and went to San Diego. And then from San Diego,
you have a very tough life. You have a very tough life, Jen.
There was work sprinkled in there as well. And then, I won't say that on Friday, I went to the Cubs game, and then Saturday I went on my boat. But that is, I lived, that's what gets me, having the ability and to be so grateful to have those experiences. That's important to me. Whereas somebody else could yawn and say, wow, that sounds exhausting. That's not for me. But really understanding what your personal experience looks like, and then deliver that to your member. It is that easy to build relationships. I think that's kind of got lost in my mind in the credit union space. How do we stand apart? We're not this, savings and loan. We need to be looking out for their best interest. We need to be their financial advisor. We need to be following up. We need to know about them when they get a new pet, or when they have a child, or when they're getting married. We need to know those things. And as an organization, you need to figure out a way to implement that so you're really understanding your members. And it comes from, just communication and leveraging data. And once you're there, you will see how impactful it is. And then taking it a step further, to hold yourselves accountable, doing the surveys, having leadership call, do post close calls, do post introduction calls. I think all of those things are important to make sure that we're all being held accountable. And just those small steps, I think, will make a huge impact.
That's awesome. All right. So quick second topic with you. As I mentioned earlier, you're quite passionate about leadership development, right? And you've seen some success in that. So, I'm very impressed. You shared a story with me that I was like, yeah, that's awesome. And you've made some introductions for me, so we can, Acuma continue to try to figure out how we can be more involved with that. But talk to me about that passion, because this is leadership development is very much something that I'm interested in, right? It's a passion of mine. But walk me through that passion that you have.
Yeah. So leadership development since I've been on the leadership team here for a while, it's interesting because I think that when people enter the mortgage space, they think this is it. I'm going to be an LO forever. I'm going to be a processor forever. I'm going to be a closer forever. Maybe I can be a team lead, or maybe I can be a manager, but there's nowhere else to go. But I think when you define leadership, leadership is not managing. It is just defining and refining skills to make you better in your area and to provide growth. And I've been through many different skills practice sessions and leadership development courses that I've taken myself to become passionate about it and share that with my colleagues here. And externally, I mentor other LOs in the banking space, not just the credit union space. I just think it's really, really important that each individual kind of dives deep and sees that there's more outside this bubble that we're in and day out. And so with that, I have been part of emerging leaders processes that we have here at our credit union. We've been doing about 4 years of them. We've had different competitions. The first one was Shark Tank, when every business unit had to basically pitch what would make their immediate area grow. I won.
You're not competitive at all.
We've done Amazing Race. So this year we are doing Amazing Race. But this year I'm actually sitting on the leadership team or the production team for other emerging leaders at our organization. And it's essentially a scavenger hunt paired with leadership skills and competitions along the way to make you stronger, to make you think outside the box. It's been really great to be part of.
That's pretty awesome. Cameron, I see you leaning in.
Yeah. So Jen, that's super interesting. And we started a young professional network over at Acuma. So that's kind of a passion of mine too. But I'd love to hear just some advice that you would give to someone who's just starting out in their career that's interested in getting involved in leadership and how to get there.
So my first recommendation is to find a mentor somewhere. It doesn't need to be someone within your own organization. It could be just somebody that you admire, someone that you think is doing really well. I have two mentors. One did what I did in the mortgage space, and one is she's a chief people's officer, and they both teach me different things. So I'm learning some stuff about the industry. I'm learning others just like about leadership, but they're people that I, say I want to be when I grow up, and get to know them on a personal level, pick their brain on a professional level, and be open to learning. And then with that, don't be scared to take chances.
Awesome. I love that you mentioned having having multiple mentors, not necessarily just one, but various to get different ideas and different perspectives. So
yeah.
Thanks.
And I have a man and a woman, so I really get two different perspectives sometimes.
Good question, Cameron. Good question. Last question I have for you, Jen. And I feel like I'm portraying myself, or we'll say the Acumen On Point podcast, because thinking back, I haven't asked this question in a pretty long time. But originally, when we first started this podcast, it was really focused on getting to know the people who make positive impact, and as the opening states, right? But one of the questions I would always ask is, what gets you out of bed? Like, what keeps you motivated? What keeps you pushing forward? Tough times, good times, doesn't really matter. So for Jen, I'm going to ask you that same question, because I've been meaning to ask from the past several guests, and I just keep forgetting. Time runs out. We're having such a good time, but don't get me wrong. That implied that we're not having a good time. Jen, I'm having a great time. This is awesome. But I actually remembered to ask the question this time. So Jen, what keeps you going? What gets you out of bed? What helps you stay motivated for your team and Credit Union One and the members that you serve?
Yeah. And not to be cheesy and say like life experiences, but it's really that. So I talk about this like crazy week that made me so happy and grateful. But, I have a new puppy. His name is Sebastian. He's amazing. He brings me so much joy. And I enjoy boating. And I know that you do too, Peter, and being on the lake. And I love challenges. And really, I think when you put this all together, it's these impactful experiences that you learn from every day. And you can fall asleep and have a really, after a really hard day and be like, wow, today sucked. Let's start over tomorrow. But wake up tomorrow and say, wow, I'm glad that those sucky things happened, because I'm going to learn from it and keep pushing forward. And that's just how I live my life. I think they change every single day. But I think that as long as you are grateful and you really understand your experiences and how they benefit you and make significant impacts in your life, it helps me push forward.
That's awesome. Jen, I think you and I are more alike than I think what I actually realized going in.
Are you a Swiftie too?
I'm not a Swiftie. I couldn't even tell you. Actually, though, I think although that reel that was going around on social media, whether it's TikTok or Instagram, of that Taylor Swift song, and all of a sudden it cuts to the goat. That was probably one of the things that cracked me up. I don't even know the name of that song, but that would always crack me up. But no, it's. I've always said this, and I'm always open about it. I always say that I'm not the smartest person in the room, but I do two things better than anyone else. I'm probably going to be the hardest worker in the room. I will outwork you no matter what. But the thing that I think that separates me is that I learn from my mistakes better than anyone else. I feel confident about that. I learn from every experience that I go through, positive and negatives, and I'm very good at making adjustments. So I digress. I love that you said that, because I feel like we're kindred spirits in some way, shape, or form. So awesome. Well, it's about that time. It's about that time to transition to my favorite segment. Now, don't get me wrong, Jen, I loved our conversation. And Wallace, I enjoyed having you as co-host, but you're not done yet. And Cameron, it's always a pleasure. But this is my favorite segment of the podcast. And again, this is the segment where we do fun facts. Sometimes we do dad jokes. Sometimes we do Jeopardy, even trivia. Today, we're going to do fun facts. And since fall, as in autumn, or the season of fall is right around the corner, it's actually my favorite season, even though I was born in the winter. It's my favorite season. Flannel breaks out, pumpkin spice latte, you name it. My favorite season. We're going to do some fall trivia just to kind of end the podcast. Just something nice, casual trivia. Now, with this, I may ask you, did you know type questions, and I may even have you guess some of the answers, but it's more so just me throwing out silly trivia about, again, pumpkin spice latte season. Sound good?
Sounds great.
Sounds good.
Good. All right. So I'm going to start off with an easy one. That's not really an easy one. There's no guessing, but I found this very interesting because I didn't know this, that autumn is different. The autumn equinox, so the fall equinox is different every single year. And so I'm going to break that down for you. So the autumn equinox, or the equinox, here's some science for you. If anything, you're going to walk away saying, I learned one thing. Okay. There's two different types of seasonal changes. There's a solstice and an equinox. Okay. The solstice and equinox. Okay. So the solstice is when the Earth's poles, so you have the North Pole and South Pole, they start making the change towards pointing towards the sun. So the summer solstice, at least in the northern hemisphere, is when the North Pole starts pointing closer to the sun, right? That's why we have summer, right? Whereas the equinox is when the sun is closest to the equator. Okay, this is the science lesson I'm teaching you right now. And you're welcome. You're all very welcome for this. So again, solstice and equinox. So in autumn, you have the fall equinox, in fall, you have the autumn equinox. And so it changes every year between September 22nd and September 23rd. And that is because, we use the Georgian calendar, right? And the Georgian calendar actually only contributes to, or only accounts for 365 days a year, when in reality, it takes 365.25 days to circle for Earth to fully circle the sun. So we're not quite there. So there's always that rounding method that's always lost with our calendar. So that's a fun fact on the autumn equinox. It changes every single year. I found that very interesting.
I did not know that.
No, well, see, did you? So Cameron, did you know the difference between equinox and solstice?
No, I did not. So I learned something.
You're very welcome, Cameron. You're very welcome. And Jen, you're welcome too.
Thank you.
All right. So here's one answer. Have you guys ever bobbed for apples? No, you never.
No.
Jen, you never bobbed for an apple? Cameron never bobbed for an apple? Not even I remember doing elementary school. I don't think I've ever done it as an adult, but I remember doing it elementary school, because it was the thing that you did. And this was before germs. I mean, I grew up in the 80s, so totally different era. We didn't know what COVID was at that point in time. So communal buckets of water with apples in it, I guess, was socially acceptable. But actually, can you guys guess the country of origins for the idea of bobbing for apples? Just guess. Holland. Okay, good. That was a good guess. That was a very good guess. Jen, can you guess?
Oh boy, I was going to say Sweden. So in the same realm.
Okay, same realm. Okay, Cameron, do you want to try, or you can say no?
I don't know. Scotland. There. I don't know.
Cameron's actually the closest. It was the Brits. The Brits invented the idea of bobbing for apples, and it was actually invented as a courting ritual. It was just what they did when they went to events, and it was how they courted one another, just bobbing for apples. But I thought it was very interesting.
Cameron, next time you want a date, you should recommend doing that.
That would be very odd. I can't believe that.
But it will be a memorable experience.
Yes.
I love. So do you guys watch Saturday Night Live, or used to, or whatever?
I used to, yes.
So there was this skit, and it was part of Weekend Update. God, I wish I remember the actor's name. But he was pretty much like a club goer that always described the craziest clubs that were happening in New York. Did you ever see that little skit that was part of Weekend Update? His name was Sebastian. I can't remember the actor that did it, but he was always described he would go to a club and it was named Pillow, and it was a club full of pillows, and in the corner there were dancing bears or something like that, or sheep. You had to count sheep at this club. Anyways, that's a stupid story. I'm gonna stop telling that story. I'm gonna move on because I'm just embarrassing myself at this point. All right. So last fun fact that we'll do for today.
Was that Bill Hader?
Yes. Thank you very much, Wallace. Wallace with the win in this fun fact. All right. So last thing I'm gonna say is our general love of pumpkin spice lattes isn't because, so this was actually scientifically proved. There's a survey that was put out. Okay. So, when you think of, we'll say the fall holidays, and now I'm going to focus on Halloween and Thanksgiving, right? There's both of those holidays are really synonymous with pumpkins or some type of gourd, right? And we carve them at Halloween. We have them out, as fall decorations. I mean, Cameron probably already has them out on her front porch right now.
No, I don't.
Maybe she doesn't. That's right. You live in a very strict neighborhood that has set timelines of when you can put stuff out. I forgot about that.
Yeah, it's nuts.
It is nuts. But although pumpkins are food, the popularity of pumpkins didn't start because we would use them for food or in our favorite latte. It started because it brought up in the late 70s, the popularity of pumpkins grew because of really the baby boomer effect. That's all it really was that baby boomers were buying pumpkins we'll say families back in we'll say the mid 19th or 1900s, they bought pumpkins to make pies, right? And so it established this nostalgia, right? And so that carried on to that nostalgia of pumpkins for pumpkin pie manifest it into pumpkins or decorations. And so we stopped using the pumpkins for pumpkin pie. We start just buying the cans. And now pumpkins are more so part of, we'll say, Americana, because of somewhere along the way, our parents had a pumpkin pie once from their grandmother and they fell in love with it. And now they just want to decorate their home with pumpkins. I found that very interesting. So anyways, that takes us to the end of our fun facts for autumn and fall. And surprisingly, it was not easy finding fall fun facts. I should have Googled how many pumpkin spice lattes the Starbucks sell in a single year. That totally slipped my mind. And by the way, I need to say this because of our marketing person, Justin. We're not sponsored by Starbucks. We have no affiliation with Starbucks. I have to have one pumpkin spice latte in the fall. That's it. Just one. Just like I have to have one gingerbread latte around the holiday season. I had to have one. And then I'm done. The fix is over. Anyways, Jen, thank you very much for being here. Thank you very much for your insight. Truly do appreciate it. I always enjoy talking to you. Again, thank you very much for being here.
Thank you for having me, Peter. I enjoy talking with all of you. You are my dear friends. I encourage anybody that's not part of Acuma to become part of it. Attend the sessions, network, get the best things out of it. It's well worth it.
I appreciate that plug. Thank you very much. And Wallace, thank you again for being here, being my co-host, and to Member First Mortgage for sponsoring today's podcast. I keep saying it, without your support, we could not bring such amazing content and experiences to our members. So Wallace, thank you again for being here, and to Member First Mortgage, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for the opportunity. And by the way, I'm glad to hear everybody on the call today say Acuma. That's the way I've always been.
So, another fun fact before we go, the 2023 annual conference, we actually put out a survey when we asked people, how do you pronounce it? And the number one response was Acuma. So we're going with Acuma.
There you go.
Good.
Awesome. And Cameron, thank you very much.
Of course.
Always appreciate you being here. And to everyone else, thank you very much for your time. Thank you for listening to our fun little podcast. We really enjoy putting this on for you, and we hope you enjoyed listening today. Again, Acuma Annual is right around the corner. There's still time to register. We hope to see you there. And until then, thank you very much, and we'll catch you next time.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time at the Acuma On Point podcast. If not already, be sure to subscribe and give us a 5-star rating. For more great episodes and information, be sure to visit us online at acuma.org. And to get the latest updates, head over to our LinkedIn page.